right, we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a second. So we're going to get started in just a second. All right. Okay. We're going to get started in just a second. We're going to pull down the music there. And if you're watching online and you want to download the book, you can follow along. You can download the book by going to thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire. thrivetimeshow.com/millionaire. You can download the book for free and follow along. Okay, so we're going to move now into onboarding people and teaching said people how to sell things or how to do things. So page 210. Page 210. What does the word patronizing mean? What does that mean? If someone's being patronizing, what does that mean? If someone's talking down to you, how does that feel? What I find a lot of times is that bosses, I'm not saying you, just throwing it out, a lot of times bosses are like, we need to be on time, but then they are not on time. Right? We need to be accountable, but they are not accountable. So a lot of times people who are self-employed are actually self-unemployed. The reason why they're self-employed is because they can't hold a job. Are we on the same page? And I see business owners who say really stupid things at scale, and motivational speakers want to say these things to you because you want to hear them. Page 210, we want to hear these things, so motivational speakers say them, and then people cheer. I'm going to give you some of these phrases. We want to hear them. Motivational speakers say them, and then we cheer. Let me give you 3 on page 210. You can write it down somewhere because you can't train people if you believe these concepts. One is they go, motivational speakers go, how many of you are idea people? You're more big picture people. And everyone goes, woo, because they're a bunch of jackasses. Ideas don't matter. If you could give me a big pile of cow crap or an idea, I'm going with the cow crap every time. Because the idea doesn't matter at all. It's the execution of the idea. So there's people that are like, well, I've got a new idea. I don't care about your idea at all. Furthermore, the market doesn't either. You know what my idea was? Let's cut hair. This guy invented haircuts. He's awesome. No, I just noticed I could do it better. Was the market saturated? Hell yes. But I went in and did it better. That's it. This just in. Find a problem, solve it, nail it, and scale it. Okay? Okay. Dog training. If you're listening out there right now, you're here in person, you're online. If you go to tiptopcanine.com and you want to buy a Tip Top Canine franchise, I am not exaggerating. There's no hyperbole. In 6 weeks, you could learn an entire career that has the potential to pay you doctor money. And I know this, and in the franchise disclosure document, I have to give you the cell phone numbers of the locations. So you'll be able to call the guy in South Lake and say, boop, 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 how much money do you make per month? And he'll tell you, and you'll go, why am I a doctor? It's crazy. But a lot of times we think it's the idea. So again, things that motivational speakers will tell you that people want to hear that are not true, but you just want to hear it, is I'm a big idea guy. I'm more of a big idea guy. That means you are mentally lazy and disorganized. Well, I'm just more of an entrepreneur. I'm more of a serial entrepreneur. That means you are perpetually on the border, on the very close edge of being bankrupt. Aaron, you met these people?
You guys, Clay got these phrases from things that I said to him when we first started.
Right, I wasn't talking about you at all.
These were things that I was saying.
I mean,
and I think I said them too. Actually, I had a guy.
I'm more of a visionary.
Had a guy who will remain nameless who came in, started working for us as a salesperson. The first 30 days, all he did was offer suggestions all day long.
All day, baby.
So many ideas. We could do this, we could do that. I'm like, at this point, like I had sold over $1 billion in real estate, and he's brand new, never done it, and he's trying to tell me all the ideas. I'm like, thanks, buddy, but I don't need your ideas. Finally, Clay's just said to me, tell him not to bring another idea to you or he's fired. And I was like, that's a great idea. So I told him that. He was a former Marine, or he still is a Marine, I guess, technically, but he had been in the Marines for years. And I said to him, just pretend like I'm your drill sergeant, and everything I say, just do whatever I say as if I'm your drill sergeant. And he goes, oh, I get it. The next 30 days, he made $60,000 in commissions. The month before that, he made $0. When he stopped doing the ideas and just started implementing and doing the things that we already had in place, he had great success.
So again, I'm trying to help somebody on page 210 because this is big. You can't say, I'm just a big idea guy. Second thing is you say, well, I just have kind of a late problem. No, you're a jackass. That's the problem. You're a jackass. You know what I mean? You're a jackass personified. Stop being late. Stop it. People say these things as though they have merit to validate the jackassery. You can't manage a team if you can't manage yourself. I mean, who's going to respect you? Nobody with a sound mind is going to work for somebody of less intelligence or less discipline than themselves. Why would you do that? And eventually you just go, my boss is an idiot. So you have to be on time. Third, people say, well, if you do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, it's insanity. Actually, if you don't do the same thing that's proven to work over and over, then that's insanity. What? So if you go to rumble.com real quick, Sean, go there, look up Drive Time Show. This is my process every day. I did it today to remind myself that I'm alive. I watch videos that you don't want to watch and that I don't want to watch and cut them down into small pieces so that people who need to know can get them. So
and we thank you very much for that, Clay.
Oh, it's terrible. Click on the channel. Okay, so this is right here is Christine Madeleine Lagarde. She's the head of the French International Monetary Fund. Hit play.
Is it going to be as private as cash? No. So a digital currency will never be as anonymous and as protecting of privacy in many respects as cash.
The CBDC system is a complete control system. So back to the concept of going direct. Now the central bank is going to go directly into your bank account and control it.
Mark my words. This way it's going to happen. We're going to have a banking collapse. Because there's a banking collapse, that will cause the dollar to skyrocket in inflation, possibly hyperinflation. If you want to buy something, well, you got $100. Yeah, I'll buy that for $100. And it might be something that was worth $4 before the collapse. And people will pay it. Hyperinflation will go crazy. The Fed will say, look, we got to stop this. Inflation is too much. We're going to give you a digital currency. It's already in a bank with your name. All you have to do is sign in, and it will give you the money, and that's what's going to control inflation.
Now the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa have announced plans to develop a new currency.
I'm pleased to join you at the FedNow Early Adopter Workshop. Together, we'll be ready to launch the FedNow service between May and July of 2023.
A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
When you go to BA
Pause. And I do this every day. So I started today at 4. It was awesome. No, it wasn't. So I go through and I make myself go through these 3-hour videos, and I go through and I read the transcripts, and I jump to the point where it says CBDC, go back to it. Go back to it, Sean. So I usually do 3 to 5 every morning, and I don't want to do it. But Aaron, why do I do it every single day?
Because you want to get the truth out. You want to communicate it to people who are in key positions, both in Trump's world as well as any political affiliation, and influence them so that they will know the truth of what's going on.
And then Leon spoke.
The news doesn't do it.
Yeah, and then yesterday, Leon spoke here. Many of you were here, and there's 18,400 people so far that have watched his sermon last night. And we do it. Why do we do it every Thursday at 6:30? Why don't I just change it up and go, this week we're going to do Thursday at 6?
Because people are creatures of habit, and they will tune in at the same time. If you're consistent in what you do, they will show up for your consistency.
Why don't I just take a week off because it's a holiday?
Because there are no days off.
Okay, so but anyway, but people will say, well, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Actually, you'll get an exponentially increasing result if you keep doing the same thing that works over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Make sense? We're on the same page? So Aaron, I mean, do you ever think about not using 2x4s when building houses just to see what will happen?
Yeah, I had an idea about that. Maybe like a 3x5, but no.
Okay.
It's
Now,
always a 2x4.
other things people say is they go, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Great people bore down. Unsuccessful people struggle with boredom.
True.
Great people bore down. So I just do the same repetitive tasks over and over and over because I know what works, and I don't need to do a new thing to fill a hole in my soul because it's boring. So elephant in the room, I have not changed the ads at all for 13 consecutive years. And I won't change the ads. You know why? They work.
They work, yeah.
It's like the wheel. You ever thought about reinventing the wheel?
Oh, I was
Let's make it
thinking
more
a couple
square.
Flat spots on it, maybe just for a little boom, boom.
The wheel, it works.
Be more
So
exciting.
there's like certain things that work. And then the reason why business owners stop doing them is because they work so well. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah. Saw
Okay.
it this week, actually. Yeah.
Okay, so again, I have a late problem. I'm a big idea guy. That's a problem. I'm bored. How many of you have heard these things? Okay, maybe they echo in your brain. You say them to yourself. So there's a lot of, or people go, I'm looking for a fresh approach. And I
freshen it up.
Oh boy. So anyway, just find what works and do it. So now we're going to page 210. Steve, I'm gonna have Steve come up here. So page 210. So I used to train DJs, disc jockeys, DJs. The company was called DJconnection.com. I haven't owned the company in I think 13 years or so. But if you go to DJconnection.com, it still exists. And here's how it worked. I would hire people to become a disc jockey. So this is how it would work. If you were wanting to become a DJ, I would hire you, and the rule was you had to have never been a DJ before. If I ever heard that you have ever DJ'd before, you couldn't work here. I've come from Boston, and I'm a longtime DJ. Can't work here. I'm from Texas, and I used to DJ. Anybody who used to DJ can't DJ for me. Can someone please explain this to me?
They will come with bad habits.
Yes, Mr. Bunky. And I can teach anybody how to become a great DJ in 15 hours. Someone should write that down on page 210. You want to be able to teach anyone how to do the job in 15 hours. If it takes longer than 15 hours, it's not a system. It's an art, and then you're screwed. Okay? So the DJs, I would show up. Let's pretend that Steve, you were a DJ, and Aaron, you're a DJ.
All right.
I'd say, okay, I usually train 8 to 10 people at the same time. Okay? Stairs, do you have a mic over there? You on a mic? Let's get you on a mic. Okay. This is how I would do it, though. This is how I do it. Every week, I go, okay, guys, this is how it works. Training. I'm going to train 8 people at one time. Okay. Step 1, I need everybody. This is called the gig rig. Okay. This is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. This is number 4. Everyone has one. I want you to take a CD. They're all alphabetical. If you take things out of alphabetical order, I will assault you. Everything has to be in alphabetical order. If you take it out of alphabetical order, I will assault you. Keep it in alphabetical order. Okay. So I'm going. Okay. So any of the songs. So I want you right now, having worked here for a total of 10 minutes, to find Michael Bolton, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? Find the CD and put it in deck 1. Go. Boom. And the guy is like, so where would I look? We're already done now. Okay. Serious. It's alphabetical. Okay. You put it in. Okay. Now,
is it alphabetical by artist?
Now we're gonna look for Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. Find it. Put it in.
By first name
or
last name?
Get out of here. Put it in disc tray 2. Boom. And we do this. Okay. Great. Now I want everyone to plug in your amp. And it was a checklist. Now I want you to plug in your speakers. Okay. Now I want you to plug in your headphones. And I would just do it. And then I would go, okay, now we did it. Let's do it again. And we would just role play for an hour, 2 hours practicing. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to time it. Everyone has to be able to set up in 15 minutes or less. Go. Boom. And they're just going. Okay, great. Now we're going to set up lights. Lights. How do lights work? You have 5 different lights. You have a strobe light. And we just go, and it's a system. And I could train anyone how to DJ on my driveway in usually like 3 or 4 hours. And then we would practice announcements. Now, Stairs, how do you get good at practicing? How would you get good at making announcements? How would you do it?
How would I do it?
I mean, if you had to train someone how to become good at making announcements for weddings, how would you do it?
Well, first of all, I'd have a script.
There it is.
Hey.
So I'm like, okay, we're going to announce the cutting of the cake. And there's a script. They flip to it, and it says exactly the words to say. So it's like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, up next, the bride and the groom are going to be cutting the cake. That's right. They're cutting the cake. So if you want to grab your cameras, video cameras, gather around. The cutting of the cake coming up next.
Bride, a groom, a knife. This should be interesting.
There it is.
The cake cutting script.
And it just all of it. It's all organized there. It's great, So, and it's just a system, and you just practice it over and over, and it's all written down. Now, what if it wasn't written down? Oh, there it is. If it wasn't written down, the employees would think you're making it up, which, by the way, most entrepreneurs do when training people.
Yeah, and it's great that that joke about the knife, you work into a script. People say, I don't want to be a robot. You work some humor into your script and it becomes much more natural.
Every single announcement was scripted. Every single song was laid out. I would meet with the bride, go over what songs they want. It's all laid out. So the DJ just has to show up and have a great attitude. That's the thing. Okay. So that's how that worked. But if you don't have a system, so for your business, Steve, when the phone rings, do you have a script for answering that phone?
Yep.
And how long should it take you to train someone how to answer that phone?
About 8 seconds.
Have you had people that in the first 8 seconds you knew it wasn't a good fit?
Yes.
Okay.
They didn't work there.
Okay. So what you do is on page 210, one, you want to tell people what to do. That's page 210 when you're training somebody. The second is you want to show them. You need to be able to demonstrate that what you're doing. So my wife used to work for Dr. Robert Zellner, the optometrist. And how many of you have ever worked for an optometrist? How many of you know the concept of dilating the pupil? Dilate the pupil? Okay. So my wife had a fear of eyes. She still does have a fear of eyes. If you get near her, just go. And she's like, you do this. It's like an eye phobia thing. True story. Who knew?
If you do this to her, she like does that.
No, but I mean, if you like it, no, if you talk about the human eye or you point at your eye,
your own
it
eye?
freaks her out.
I'm going to send her a video of me playing
But
with
how
my
would you
eyeball.
know unless you worked for an optometrist? How would you know that bothers you? So they said, now, Vanessa, your job is to sit the patient down and say, hi, I'm a test prepper, and my job is to get you ready for the exam. So I'm going to blow a small puff of air in your eye. So you'll need to grab a seat, and I'm going to hit the button, and then that way we're ready to go.
And she would just...
And she would sit down,
In
and
their
she
eye?
would go, oh, no. Oh, no. And you know, it was Dr. Zellner and Kylie like, what's wrong with you? She's like, I guess I don't do the human eye. And he's like, you can't not do the human eye. That's what we do. And she's like, okay. So every day she was like, it was almost like the person who's the bomb diffuser from MacGyver shows. You got to figure out what wire to cut. My wife would be like, okay. You know, but that was her job. And quickly he established, I know that you have a fear of the human eye, but that's what we do. Deal with it. Okay. Then my wife's roommate at the time in college, she didn't do people. How many of you know people that just don't do people?
Yeah.
And
Clay?
she was the front desk lady. So I used to hear these conversations. And so I'm serious. And so she would go, I just don't do people. I don't do people. Well, the problem is when you walk into the optometry clinic, they have to say, hey, welcome to the optometry, but you're in the right spot. Here's a clipboard. I need you to fill out your insurance or your self-pay, your name, your information, and the doctor will be with you in just a moment, right? And this person was like, hi, welcome to whatever, you know? And I would hear this from both sides because Dr. Z, I kind of got to know him a little bit and I got to see the culture. And the whole thing is he doesn't have time to figure out who's the best personality fit. He would just say motivational things like, guess what? You're now a people person. Guess what? You love the human eye. But I think a lot of us, if we've gone to too much college, this is what will happen is somewhere around step 2, and I'll go to Clay Stairs on this, we start giving people personality evaluations and Myers-Briggs tests to see your aptitude and what you like to do and what you need to do and how you feel validated and your communication style and your love language and your love language. A lot of people like to talk to me about that. And your love language. Meanwhile, I need someone to blow a puff of air into the human eyeball and shut the hell up. But Stairs, have you seen this before where the business owner's got 20 employees? None of them will do their job, and they start rolling out the personality test. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah. And if you're not careful, you'll spend thousands of dollars having somebody come in to train your entire staff on the whole personality thing. And so now they can make fun of each other.
Or conflict.
Oh, you're a CQIJ.
No, and I'm telling you, because I don't do it anymore, but I used to get flown out to businesses. They would hire me to come speak to them, and then the speaker before me would be talking about this kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then I would, by the way, if you ever want to do public speaking, the move is this. If it's a 2-day conference, get there the day before so you can listen to what people think about day one. And I ask all the attendees, how was day one? They don't know I'm the speaker. How was day one? How was it? What'd you learn? What'd you like? And they would say, there's some jackass who came in to give us personality tests. And there's a bunch of guys like, we just made shit up to see how crazy he thinks we are. So I put on there, I've never talked to my wife. I haven't spoke to my kids in a year. I drink at work, just to see what would happen, And then another person's like, yeah, I put that most of the guys here, they have sex with each other, and that's just what we do. And so, you know, the consultant, no, seriously, he comes in and he's trying to teach people about how to grow this highfalutin banking business, you know. And can you imagine him? He's looking at the test results, and it's like, whoa, you have a primarily homosexual affair culture here. What? You know, this is real. And the guys are laughing because they don't know that I'm the speaker. And they're like, dude, we gave him some crazy shit. It's going to be crazy tomorrow, you know? And so how many of you know employees put that stuff down? They do. How many of you know this? Yeah. Steve, you know this? It happens. So you just have to get the person to step one, tell them what to do. Step two, show them what to do. Step three, they have to show you that they can do it. Now, Aaron, that's a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
So is it possible to graduate from OSU, OU, or any college with a degree and some kind of building management, construction management, and have no ability to swing a hammer? Has this ever happened?
It happens every time. Probably maybe 3% of the time it doesn't happen, but 97% of the time they have absolutely no mechanical skills whatsoever.
Every time. And it's so I get a lot of people that show up in my life.
I think it's 100%.
It's pretty close.
We had I'll get speaking vagaries, but we have a lady who graduated from TU years ago. She shows up here, sharp person. She says, I have a degree in marketing and I know Photoshop and graphic design and yada yada. She says all this. She's a nice person. So it's day 2 and I'm watching. Have you ever met somebody who you know they're new to the computer program? You can just tell. And I'm not attacking. I go, can we just be real? We cut to the crap. I think you're a good person, but you don't know how to do anything. She goes, yeah, you're right. I'm like, we have a degree in it, though.
She lied on a resume.
No, well, she has a degree in it.
Weird.
Which is not related to knowing how to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? You can have a degree in graphic design and not know graphic design because you don't have to actually do graphic design to get a degree. You just have to show up for 4 consecutive years. They give out degrees like Pez. Everybody gets one. Yep. Sir, do you have $200,000 you can borrow? Yes. Okay, you get a degree. Good job. Are you willing to sit in a room for 4 consecutive years and learn about things that don't matter? Yes, you have a degree. Awesome.
So
do you suck at work? Come get another degree. We'll give you another degree.
Yep.
I'm serious.
I think you need to go back for your master's in sucking.
True. So true.
I've got my master's because I suck at everything. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. All right. So what you have to do is step 1, you have to tell them what to do. Step 2, you have to show them that you can do. So I had to, when I was teaching DJs how to DJ, why did I have to get on there and say, okay, this is how you do it? Then I had to show them that I could do it before I asked them to do it.
Because they're not going to want to learn from you unless you have a mastery level of whatever it is you're going to teach. They want to know they're learning from the expert.
Yes.
Then they will trust the information you're giving because you're very highly skilled at it.
And I have to teach people with enthusiasm. And if my wife would let me, I would go back into DJing because I love it so much. It's so fun. But yeah, I would go to weddings.
Not gonna let you.
I'd go to the Summit Club, Tulsa, Oklahoma, wherever, Petroleum Club in Dallas. And I would tell the guys, there's 200 people coming to this wedding. And when they leave, their lives will be changed. They will talk about this event for the rest of their lives. It's going to be incredible. We're going to take this wedding to like a level 12. Most weddings are like a 2 or a 3. People are like, is the babysitter, can we go? I think we got to go. People try to leave early. This wedding is going to be the wedding. People don't want to leave. They're going to leave their babysitter hanging. They'll be paying overtime. It's going to be sick. And the DJ's like, okay, isn't this just a job? I'm like, no, this is not a job. This is a passion. This is their wedding. It's going to be awesome. I've coordinated with the bride. We got 80 weddings, but this is the one we're at, and we are going to wow them. It's going to be awesome. And so the guy's like, well, whatever. Because most people have been to weddings that are whack. Well, but around like 10 p.m. when we got the groom crowd surfing and the crowd's going crazy, we got the Soul Train line going on and people are leaving other weddings to join. Multiple weddings that I did, other brides would leave the other ballrooms and come join our ballroom because it's just rocking all night. The bride's loving it. The dad's loving it. We're in a good flow. And I'm just going. And they're like, how much do you charge per hour? I'm like, bro, I would do this for free. This is my passion. And I go, are you serious? Oh, yeah. And they'll kick us out around 2. But if I make sure the bartenders get tipped enough, they'll keep going. We'll keep it flowing. We'll get in the car. We'll be super hoarse, sounding like Joan Rivers at 4 a.m. It's going to be awesome. And the DJ's like, okay. Because we start the wedding at the reception at 6. And not kidding, 2 a.m., my wife would call me, are you on your way home? No, not on the way home. Just jam it.
Nowhere close.
Yeah. So, but the DJs then I was the owner of the company, and we do 4,000 events a year, but 3 times a week, I got to let it rip, and they would watch me and they'd go, dude, you got tipped $1,000. I'm like, yeah, because I'm God's gift to DJing. And you can too. Come on. And then at the show, so I'd take them to the show and the show's rock. And I go, okay, now you're going to play the next song. And they're like, oh. but people are rocking. I'm like, you can do it, but people are rocking. And these are adult men in their 40s that hide behind the booth. If I screw it up, people will leave the dance floor. I'm like, oh, it'll be your fault. You'll ruin the wedding. Do it. You know? And then they get good by doing it, but they don't get good by theorizing it. Make sense? So we practice on my driveway, and then we go out and do it. So you have to practice and role play. It can't be an esoteric book you give someone to read about how to do it. You have to show them, and have them show you. Next step is they got to demonstrate mastery. Now, Stairs, what does mastery mean?
Mastery is when you know it so well that you can do all kinds of your own personality within it while staying within the structure. While staying within the structure. Until you have mastery, you're kind of mesmerized and really stuck, and it can even feel like you're in a box. But once you get mastery, the box becomes extremely freeing for you. I promise you, The Godfather started with a script. The movie started with a script.
What?
It started with a bunch of people sitting around a table reading lines that sounded kind of like this. But over time, those actors were able to take that script and own it, become a master of it, and then they could add in all of their things.
One of the highlights of
all of their personality.
One of the highlights of the year. Were you here the day that Brewer was practicing? Were you here?
I don't think.
I'm trying to help Jim Brewer do a comedy tour where it feels like Glenn Beck and Jim Brewer gave birth to a patriotic comedy show. And so I'm working on it. And the only way to get good at it is we have to keep doing it, you know? So I'm watching him, and Brewer is hilarious. You know, he was on SNL, and he was a writer, and he's been in movies. So Jim's here in the middle of the day with a bunch of funny people that we flew, and he had me flying as funny people. And the funny people are here. And by the way, you know, he's friends with like Rob Schneider and Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey, and they all think that Brewer is the best of that group, but he just refuses to do dirty comedy or to participate in that world. So he kind of moved his way out, but they all look up to him because he does funny voices. He's got the 5 moves. By the way, if you're a comedian, there's 5 moves. He can tell stories that make you laugh. He can tell jokes. He also does physical comedy. He also does voices. He has that whole thing. And then he also can react to crowds. Like, so if a joke doesn't go well, he can. So one of the first events we brought him to, there was a lady sitting right next to him on the stage who didn't like him at all. And he went with that. It was the best ever.
Yeah, so that's mastery, when you can take those things and pivot, but then come right back.
Yeah, because he's got his routine, but this lady's just staring at him, like glaring at him. And he's like, the whole interaction was hilarious. He comes out there, the crowd's loving it, and she's just like, is funny not your zone, ma'am? Is funny not what you do? And she's like, no. And he's like, folks, this lady doesn't do funny. And everyone just starts laughing. And then he kind of, you know.
Play the line in Nashville when he said,
the NFL?
Now to the NFL.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't expecting
and
that.
I watched it. And
if I'm not mistaken, he had just come up with that.
Yeah, he and John Rich, the country music singer, were talking.
Oh, that was.
And
fun.
Rich had said something about the NFL, and Brewer said something, and I'm watching, and all of a sudden I can see in his mind's eye that the joke was written. And he's like, he writes it down, and I'm like, uh-oh, something's gonna happen. But anyway, I can just say this. But he's here in during the day. Katie, I think you were here when he was role playing, weren't you? So he's here with the guys, and they're going, okay, I'm going to do this, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then let's do it. And they role play it, and then Jim would go, this isn't funny. I know funny, and this isn't funny. We got to get serious about being funny, okay, guys? And him watching him be serious about being funny because he's role playing it to work out the kinks, so when the audience shows up, it's a home run. And I watched him all day, like throw out jokes, kick down jokes, modify jokes, get rid of jokes. And I'm saying this to you because you, with your business, you don't want to be testing on your customers. Like, you don't want your employees to be testing the system on the customer. You want to have refined it yourself, and then you give them a proven system.
Yeah,
so that's why when I made the script for Elephant in the Room, guess who made the calls to the customers originally? Guess who made the first 100 calls? I did, yeah. And when I sold memberships, guess who went and sold the memberships? I did. I go up front, here's my theory, let's go do it. Because I have the confidence to test it, measure it, move on. But if you're having an employee, that's not what they've signed up for. They want to follow a proven system, okay? So somewhere on page 210, you need to write down the rhythm of entrepreneurship. This is very big. You define what you think is going to work. Then you have to act. Then you measure. Then you refine. You define, you act, you measure, you refine. I repeat, you define what you think is going to work, you act, then you measure, and you refine. That's what you have to do. You define, you act, you measure, you refine. That's what you do. And if you define, act, and measure, refine, once you've refined it, then you hire someone to do it. But you don't want to hire other people to test your theories because they are not an entrepreneur. Are we on the same page? If you hire people and want them to test your theories, it's not going to go well. So before I ever have somebody make us call, I make the script first. I refine the script myself. Then I have someone else do it. And sometimes people will do it better than me. Sometimes they'll do it less good than me. But at least I have a standard, and I can say, okay, this is expectations that are reasonable here. All right. And then they want to demonstrate mastery on page 210. You want to have them demonstrate mastery because you don't want. How many of you been to a restaurant where the waiter or waitress was awesome? Like just great. Like just yes. Okay. So we went to a restaurant fairly recently and the food wasn't the best. I'm not a big foodie, but they had some problems. But the waiter or waitress these people were just great. Front desk staff was great, waiter's great, and they kind of owned any problems. They would say stuff like, I'm so sorry we're having a few issues today with the food. I'm sorry to confuse your order, but you know what? I'll make it up to you guys. They were just great. And so even though the food was the wrong food and they had the issue, maybe the cook got it wrong or whatever, I left very happy because that person owned the job. They were a master at what they were doing. Now, if that person wasn't a master at what they were doing, then all of a sudden I would focus on the food situation. So I want to be very clear. In the absence of value, price is the only consideration. I repeat, in the absence of value, price is the only consideration. What? In the absence of value, price is the only consideration. So if you don't have a great system, all people can focus on is price. But the price becomes somewhat not super important if there's a lot of value. So there's a jeweler I used to work with. I won't mention his name. But when I first met him, his jewelry store was very much, hey, we get you the best price on your jewelry. That's what it was. And over time, I watched him kind of evolve and to build a really nice jewelry store where they offered complimentary wine and champagne, and they offered the kind of like, cheese and different things. So you walked in, you felt like you were going to an experience. And they had professionals. They put them in uniforms instead of just letting them wear whatever. The training level went up and up and up. And I also noticed the markups went up, but people didn't complain. But in the absence of value, price is the only considerations. Any question about training people? Because Stairs is going to talk to you about how to hire people. But any questions about training people? Do you guys have any questions at all? Yes. Well, I'm gonna pick on Leanne right there just for a second because when we hired her, it was my fault because she was learning a new job that I was kind of creating. So when I do videos, that's Leanne. If you can wave real quick, Leanne, I'll bring you up here, but just so they know she's a real person. Okay, so when Leanne started, I do a lot of podcasts. Perhaps you've noticed on the show, I'll put out like 6 in a day or 10 or 8, but I have to put them on all of the different platforms. And Katie, that's Katie back there. Katie does a great job doing that. But as we're continuing to do more and more things, a lot of wonderful people like Thomas Rins or Amanda Grace or Laura Trump want us to help them upload their content too. Does that make sense? So you have like a great personality who's great with their show, but someone has to put it on Substack and Rumble and iTunes and iHeart and all those things. And so that's been a new thing in my life. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, would I thought we would be doing that? No. But I'm at the Reawaken America tour, and I'm talking to big household names that everybody here knows. And I said, can I ask you, what's your biggest limiting factor? And some big-time people said, I struggle. I record my show, but I have a hard time getting it to all the platforms because it takes almost my entire day to do it, and I don't have a team to help me. And I go, well, then they said to me, well, can you do it? And there you go, problem solved, solution. So they started asking me, and I think the first person to ask me if I could do it or to help them was the Flyover Conservatives. Their first, you guys know the Flyover Conservative show? And they're like, well, could you help us? And I thought, I don't know that I want to because I don't scale podcasts. I am here to tell you their revenue has grown to where they now make, I think, more money every 2 weeks than they used to make in a year. So it's like, and they said, could you help me? So we helped them. And now they start doing horrible things, telling other people about it. So all the speakers are going, hey, we heard that you helped grow the Flyovers audience by 50 times. And I go, well, it's just a system. And they go, could you help us? So we hired Leanne. The internet wasn't, is it faster now, Leanne? Is it faster? Getting there, okay. So the internet wasn't as fast as it needed to be. Furthermore, I didn't have a computer that could keep up with how fast she could work. So I needed to build a new workstation. So I think about every hour I would go, how's it going? I think about every hour. Didn't I about every hour? How's it going? Okay. I'm like, are you doing okay? You all right? And she would say stuff like, I think my computer's not loading. And I'm going, so I had to buy a new computer, another internet connection, had to build checklists and systems and processes, and I kept going. So to answer your question, I had to follow up a lot with her, not because of her issue, but because of my issue. Does that make sense? And then with Katie, she does these great videos, but a lot of times some of the personalities want to take a nice commercial and cut it down into 90 seconds instead of 104 seconds. And so Katie has to like take that and make it happen. And so we follow up a lot because it's more of an art, and I need to make sure that is that helpful at all? And I try to be like I'm usually going off about something. It could be just people from Minnesota. I might go off on that tangent for about a half hour. But I'm always and I try to have connections and connect
Clay,
everybody.
we haven't noticed that you go off on certain things.
But I like to have a culture where like
Every now and
everybody
then.
is kind of connected. So I like to follow up often, and I enjoy the people who work here, so it's a good fit. But I do have a huddle every morning to follow up. But then throughout the day, I follow up as needed. Is that helpful? Okay.
And that, again, is why Clay's and the others that you've been listening to up here, we start our day really early so we can get all of our things done before work starts. Because once people show up, now everyone is saying, I need help with this, I need help with this, I need help with this. And if you don't have your work done already, then you won't be able to get your work done because you're helping everybody else do their work. And that can be a real frustrating spot. So that's why Clay gets up at 3. That's why I got up at 3 for so long to do that. I don't anymore, but I did for a long time.
You don't need to do that if you don't need to based upon what you've signed up for. I just happen to have 160 clients. And yesterday, Chill Spa, one of my clients, she's probably watching right now. She's in the New Hampshire, and her website went down last night, So we wrapped up church and I'm headed home. I walked home because that's where I live, I'm walking home. So I'm walking home and I look and I'm going, a lot of missed text messages from a great lady. So I called her, what's up? She's like, my website's down. So I had to fix that website. And then the lock broke, I guess, last night. So we got to fix that. Did Sarah talk to you about that? Okay. Are you on that? Are you feeling good about this? Okay. So we got to replace that lock. And there's just stuff that happens, And so again, if you signed up for a lot of responsibility, you might need to wake up at 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 but you need to be prepared when your team shows up. It's a great point. Let's go to the questions on the board here before we take our next break here. Okay.
Okay.
And let's go. I'll let you go 90 miles an hour.
Sure. Here we go. Tools for checking mobile compliance.
If you do a search right now on Google for Google mobile compliance, that'll pull up Google's version, and you just put it in there. And then again, just so we're clear, the internet is constantly evolving, and so are the devices. So you don't get stressed out if your website isn't mobile compliant today, but it was last week. Okay. And by the way, people that are wanting to sell you marketing services, what they'll do is they'll run a report on semrush.com, which is a great tool. semrush.com. It's a great tool. Or on moz.com, which is a great tool. moz.com or semrush.com. If you're a coaching client, we do this for you. It's included. I pay thousands of dollars a month for these tools. But if you are not a client, you want to use them, you can as well. But so it runs as what's called a site health checker, and it looks for errors. And guess what? How many of you have ever gardened before? Isn't there always a weed on the way? Am I correct? So if the family members who are not, I'm sure this has never happened in your family, but people who are not you will show up and look at your garden. They'll go, hey, just so you know, there's a weed there. Like, yeah, Pocahontas, let me tell you something. I am an adult woman or man, and I pull the weeds on Sundays, and you've discovered that on Friday there's a weed. It's because I haven't been there slaving over my garden all week. This just in. You know what I mean? So when you have a website, you pull every month, I recommend you download, you pull a report, you look for errors, and you update them. And a lot of the errors are things that you might not want to fix. Like as an example, Google wants you to have less images on your website. I don't know if you know this, but Google loves Wikipedia, and it views Wikipedia as the perfect website. Stairs, if you told your clients to look like Wikipedia, how would that go over if every client was a text-based only website?
Not good at all, Clay. Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't know that Google thought Wikipedia was perfect. Wow.
Yeah, it's because it's text-based, HTML text. Another one, if you run an SEM Rush report on Nike.com, they rate Nike.com super low because it doesn't comply to any of the rules. Can someone please explain to me why Nike.com doesn't care about complying with the Google's rules? All that. You know, so, but if you're like if you're a plumber, you want to be top in Google. Nike doesn't care. Okay, stop looking at Nike. It's too woke for me. Let's do something else. Okay. Let's go back to the next question.
I can't go there.
I almost became a liberal right there. Okay. Don't show that to me again. Stop it.
Very good. Clay, why is podcast important for transcribing when there is speak to text? Good question.
Well, you can do speech to text and you can do podcasts. It's whatever you're going to do. I don't. It's whatever you're going to do. So whatever that is. So I have a client.
Yeah, the talk to text works just fine too. A lot of our SEO people, they're walking around the office just talking into their phones.
There's a thing called Peak Medical Tech. Peak Medical Tech. That's the website. Sean pulled up Peak Medical Tech. This guy's a great guy, and we had a great conversation. Ethan, probably listening right now. Love that guy. He's in Boise, Idaho. When he sold his business, we had a moment where it was like, because we'd helped him grow it, you know, and he sold it. So I'm excited, but I'm also like, I can't talk to him every week. It's my guy. I love this guy. But his whole thing is he wanted to build a business, create financial freedom, and learn the guitar and spend more time with his family. So I'm like, let's do it. So we built it, and he did a podcast. If you click on the About Us, underneath it, there's a podcast. He recorded a podcast, and that's him. And hit play on one of them so you can hear these things. Here we go. Feel the flow. He has medical.
Good afternoon, Laboratory World. This is Ethan Lynn of Peak Medical Technologies based in Boise, Idaho, your one-stop shopping super house for anything laboratory IT related.
Now pause. I know for a good time, I look for laboratory podcasts.
Wow.
Because I want to learn more about that. That's just what I do. That's just how I roll. That's what I'm into. But he recorded them, and the people who are in his industry, they're like, oh, how many of you know industry and then jargon, familiarity of jargon? You know the familiarity of jargon? You ever been around a Patriots fan? Who is a Patriots fan? So I used to obsessively watch every game, okay? But people were like, dude, I cannot believe that we got that guy off the wire. We got him off the wire. Sick. Unbelievable. How do we get a left-footed punter? How does Belichick know? Oh, my God. So I went to a Patriots game. There's a Holiday Inn in the Patriots play. What's the home? I've been there. Foxborough. It's a small town. Probably 30,000 people are there, but the stadium's massive. And there's a Holiday. There's like a Renaissance hotel. And there's a Holiday Inn, and there's not a lot of hotels there. So basically, 100,000 people descend on a town that's built for 30,000 8 times a year, 10 times a year. So I show up in Boston wearing my Patriots gear. I got my Patriots hat on. I got my Bill Belichick, stuff going. I got my wife's dressed up. She's got the Patriot stuff on. And we're pulling to the Holiday Inn. I said, we got to eat breakfast here with the Pats. And it's the best breakfast I've ever had because it's like 9 a.m. and people are hammered. There's like, oh, wicked awesome. The game kicks off at 12. We still got time. Get this guy a shot. And I'm like, I don't even know you guys. Come on, shot. I'm like, these are my guys. I love these guys. These are the Pats. Because it's like this culture of like, they're all Bostonians. They all love Tom Brady. They all know exactly what happened. Like, do you think the kicker's going to play? I think he got hurt. I heard the left-footed kicker. I heard he got a divorce. Is he going to play? Oh, my God. It's jargon. And it's like the names, and they know the names of these obscure players. I heard this was an undrafted guy. They found him. He was playing in the Arena League. And my wife is like, what are they talking about? I'm like, they're talking about the Pats, and we share a love for Bill Belichick. But this guy found with his podcast that people who are into laboratories loved his show because he would talk about stuff that happens in a laboratory. And people are like, oh, that happens every day in my laboratory. So sometimes a podcast is a great way to connect with your audience in a meaningful way. But it's not a good way if you're not going to sincerely do it. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? So if you're going to sincerely do it. But if you're just trying to write content to rank, don't do a podcast. Because people can tell if you sound bored. Okay, next question.
Clay, what's a good no-brainer for a broker?
Who's the broker? Broker? What kind of broker are you? What would be like your ideal and likely buyer? Okay, I'm going to tell you 3 that I know that work, and then maybe you can choose what's better or modify it. One of my clients, very successful client, he would tell people, this is his whole script. Hey, when was the last time you met with a financial planner or something like that? And people would go, well, I don't know. Because nobody wants, let's role play. I think it's better if you hear it. Okay?
There we go.
So Stairs, you and I are at a men's gathering. We're at a football game. That's where we are. A football game. We're
talking about the past.
We're watching, and we're not at the Patriots, so we're at a high school game.
Ooh, even
and it's
better.
Because your nephew's playing, but he doesn't play.
And he's not very good.
He's not good. He's not gonna play, but you're there to support him.
Yes.
And then I'm there because my son plays the drums, but he's not drumming right now because it's a timeout or something. So we're having a conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Stairs. So what do you do for a living?
I am a business consultant.
Cool. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it for about 12 years now.
And at some point, I'm hoping that he would respond with, what do you do?
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, I got to make the hard ask. So at some point, but then at some point we get to the point I say, hey, I'm a financial advisor. And I know most people would rather, go to the dentist than to meet with one. But I will literally pay you $50 to meet you for 10 minutes because I really have found that I can help people save hundreds of thousands of dollars and minimize their taxes. Would you be willing to meet with me for $50?
I would do that for $50.
And then some people go, well, you don't need to pay me. I'm like, no, I want to pay. No, you don't need to pay. And I kind of hope it ends where I don't have to pay. But okay, we're good. No. Okay, so there's that little bit of volleyball. Yeah, volleyball. Oh, no, I'm not paying. Okay, all right. But that's how we would do it.
You said I don't have to pay
you. You said that's what he said. I offered, but you said okay. But anyway, $50, and that's what he found. That was his threshold. Was $50 would get that meeting. That's a financial advisor, very successful guy, multimillionaire. Second thing, now I'm not sure if this is true for you, but I'm telling you what he did once the client showed up. When he sat down, he had a clipboard and he goes, hey, I just want you to show you, these are my financial investments. This is my personal net worth. And this is what I personally invest in. And I just want you to be able to see that so you know that I'm not pitching you products that I don't believe in. And I'm going to go get you a coffee. You want a coffee? And he would leave you with his net worth to look at. He's like, you can look at it. I just want you to see what I invest in. And he'll go get a coffee. And I'm like, Steve, that's an incredible move. And he goes, yeah, it's awesome. Couldn't do that till I was about 40 though, but he had built it, but he's like, now that's his move, so you got to have that hook. Okay. Next thing, I would recommend you have a metal business card so that people keep it when you pass it out. So you're not going to pass them out everybody, but you pass them out, then they're metal. And then on that, I would put your no-brainer. You know what I mean? So it's like schedule a consultation with me. I believe in my product so much, I'll pay you $50 or something. Because how many of you got a business card and you get it and you're kind of like, what do I do with this? But you kind of, after about a month in the junk drawer and it's kind of in the cup holder in your van. It's not in the trash, but you put a cup there and the cup was it was hot day in Texas and the moisture kind of got on the card. And now your card's kind of like in the cup holder. Have you seen this phenomenon? And there's a battery in there and a paper clip. And you're like, now we're going to detail the car. I should probably throw out that card I got from 7 events ago. How many of you do that? Have you ever seen it? Okay. So, but the metal card is like, oh, Santa? I should keep this card. It's like the iPad box. Steve Jobs, before his death, he was being interviewed and they said, why do you obsess on the packaging for iPods, iPads, and Macs? And he goes, I want the packaging to be so good that people want to keep it forever and they don't know why. Like, mission accomplished. So I would just make sure you have a business card that's metal. So when you've set it down, it kind of has a little value to it. And then you get very comfortable with offering people $50 for a consultation. And it's just like a 10 or 15 minute thing. And then in that, you quickly show people your plan. But that's what I've seen to work. Is that helpful? Okay. Yeah. Next question.
Clay, how do I know which keywords to optimize?
Great question. Who's asking that? Who's asking that? Okay, great. You're the fitness guy. Okay, so this is what I did for Elephant in the Room, and I would encourage you just to kind of jot this down. And no SEO person on the planet will probably agree with me, but I don't care because I happen to be right. Okay, so this is what I do. So for Elephant in the Room, this is a true story. We have signs. We have signs. Don't we have signs? Big signs. They $1 for the first haircut. Guys come in, and I would say, hey, welcome to Elephant in the Room. How are you? And Stairs, you remember, we were at 16th in Boston. 16th in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
And Sean, Google that, 1609 South Boston. Do Google Maps. So we're downtown. And the guy would walk in and I would go, hey, how'd you hear about us? And they go, oh, I just work in the area, drove by, saw the sign, whatever. And I said, okay, if you were going to find us online, what would you type in? And the guy goes, men's hair. I'm going, okay. I write it down. Next guy comes in. Don't do a group think, by the way. No group thinking. No group thinking. No group thinking. Group thinking makes you dumb. No group thinking. No committees. The word dumb is spelled C-O-M-M. Committee. Don't do committees because it makes you dumb. Okay. So next guy comes in. Hey, if you were online looking for us, what would you type in? Best haircuts in Tulsa. Okay. Write it down. Next guy comes in. What would you type in? Barbershops, Tulsa. Next. I keep doing this. You know what I found? Guess what I found? All the keywords that Google would never suggest. You know why? Because Google has a pay-per-click system based on bids. So Google wants everyone to compete for the same keywords, and then they charge you per click. So if you go with the words that everybody uses, but that that Google doesn't suggest, it's a much more affordable path sometimes. Okay, but go ahead and Sean, will you pull up our SEO content for the month? If you, that's the rotate a little bit. That was that is our downtown store right now. Yeah, there it is, downtown. And I've had the grand opening sign up for, I think, 7 consecutive years. I'm serious, because it's always grand in my mind. It just opened. It's just
we're open today, and
that's
it's grand.
Right. It's a biblical look at it. You know, it's a 7-year window. Okay, Sean, can you pull up my to-do list and then go to the SEO articles for the month? And what I do is my prescription to help grow businesses. And I do this. Is Randy here? He was here, but maybe he left. Okay, so I recommend that you work towards the keywords that people are searching, and you don't just only have one keyword that you care about, but you're focusing on the keywords that are winnable keywords, not like a keyword that isn't winnable. So let's do this. So Sean, can you read off, or maybe Stairs, can you read off all the keywords that we're optimizing for on that list? This is every month I write these articles every month. Yeah.
Hair salons in Jinx, Oklahoma. Haircuts in Jinx, Oklahoma. Barbershops in Jinx, Oklahoma. Jinx Haircuts in Tulsa. Reviews on men's haircut in Jinx. Tulsa Men's Grooming Salon. Tulsa Men's Grooming Salon. Tulsa Man Salon. Man Salon Tulsa. The best man salon in Tulsa. Find a men's salon in Tulsa. Find Tulsa Man Salon. What is the best man salon Tulsa has to offer?
Yeah, I'm kind of liking this. Can you keep going?
The best man salon in Tulsa. The best man salon. The best men's salon. Best fade in Tulsa. Best haircut Tulsa. Men's haircuts Tulsa. Men's haircuts Tulsa Hills. Men's haircut salon Tulsa.
Okay, pause. So now, Sean,
salon.
do a Google search for Broken Arrow men's haircuts, because Broken Arrow is a suburb of Tulsa, and I think we come up top for that. Okay, we're there. Okay, then the map, and then scroll down, see if the website comes up top. So we're underneath Yelp. We're top. We're number 2, number 3. Okay, and then let's do another one for men's haircuts in Tulsa. And I want to be top for, why do I want to be top for all those words and not just a word? Can someone please explain this to me? Why do I write 300 articles every single month for this business? Every month. Why? Why do I do it? Somebody. What's that? Yeah, there's 4 variables that make you top in Google. Whoever has the most content, most reviews, most mobile compliance, and most canonical compliance. And so every month I do it. And do you think my competition, any of my competitors Stairs, are going to write 300 articles every month for 13 consecutive years?
They never will.
No, they're not going to do that. But if you want to read my articles for a reverse good time, go to eitrlounge.com, scroll down, click on the sitemap, and let's just read some of them. So that way we know the level of quality or lack thereof that we need to have out of these articles.
Are we reading some?
I mean, I would like for you to, if you can.
Okay.
But the thing is, Sean, this time, I would like to pull up Careless Whisper by George Michael, because that's just kind of how I'm feeling today. And I'd like for you to read it Stairs with a kind of a little romance in the voice. Can you do that for us? Can you kind of just bring?
How you doing?
But don't make us look at George Michael. We want to, crank it up a little bit. Oh yeah, Stairs, bring it home.
We, the Tulsa Men's Grooming Salon, are going to be the difference in what makes you professional. We're going to be able to make sure that whenever you look at your website, you are going to be impressed by the fact that we show that we have over 10 different services in 3 add-ons. We offer fast haircuts, never being more than 30 minutes long. You are going to love about it whenever you call us.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have access to live personal phone.
Okay, pause. Stop it. It's too good. It's too good. Don't want that to define the conference. I don't want anyone to leave here with that. Okay, in your mind. So that is the search. Does that help you on the search engine questions? Okay, now I'm going to teach you something that's not in the book. I don't put in the book because if I put it in the book, people would go, this guy's crazy, never come to his conference. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to put this in the book because if I put it in the book, then this is the one page they focus on, okay? How many of you played the piano? Who can play the piano by ear at this point? Who can play by ear? Anybody can play by ear? Okay, so I'm not going to ask you to do it, but you can play by ear, okay? So if you can play by ear, what that does is it defies logic that you can do that, right? Because you've done it so much. How many years did you practice the piano? 12? So at what point did you begin to play by ear where it was like, okay, I can do that? After 6 years? Okay. So that's not a normal thing. And so if you were in a room of, in this case, 150 people, you're the only guy who can do that in this room. Are you aware of that? I mean, that's pretty normal, though, for you, though, probably, to be in a room and only have one person in the room that can do that. Is that accurate? Okay. So I want you to think through this. I want you to write these down. I'd write on the back of the book and really challenge my thinking on this, okay? Just challenge it. Is in the world today, in America, there's 330 million Americans that we are documenting and saying they're Americans. Are we on the same page? So I'm just giving you facts. 330 million Americans. In America today, we say that 25 million Americans identify and say, I am self-employed. I have an LLC. I have a business. I have an S Corp. I am self-employed. That's 25 million. So somebody out there, who's good at math in the room? We got the piano guy. Who's the math guy in the room? Okay, we got a math woman. Vicky got a math. Okay, so I want someone to tell me what percentage of America is self-employed. If 25 million Americans, again, the SBA will put out a different study and they'll say, 23, 28, but we'll just call it 25. Yeah. 8%. So we're at this. So yeah, 8% of the American population is self-employed. Now, Inc. magazine has reported that 96% of businesses fail. So Sean looked that up. 96%. Now, not to be super motivational, because I know this is for a lot of people, they go, this is so motivational. This is good. Yeah. Okay. So 96% of that 8% fail. So what percentage of the American population is successful in business? Somebody who's good at math. Because what did you just say? You're so negative. Okay. 0.3%. So now we're going to take 330 million times 0.3%. And how many people is that? Math? 0.3%? No. Sean, cue up Carol's whisper. Don't make this awkward. Makes sense to me. If you do the math, the size of the average company, you look at it, you think about it. How many Americans are in the workforce today? How many Americans actually work? How many are not in the workforce? You do the math. Makes sense to me.
Sean, 0.03.
So you think about it, though. Think about this for a second. It makes sense to me, because I've been doing this for so long, that 0.3% of the American population will be successful in business. I actually spoke at a church years ago, and I was not asked to come back, but I did this little trick with the group. And I said, no BS. God's watching. Okay, it's a men's group on leadership. I said, no, I don't want anyone to be, don't lie to me. Don't lie to God. We're at church. The pastor's like, why did I bring this guy in? But I did it. And I said, how many of you could stand up and say, I'm not going to ask you to do it, but you can stand up and say, I'm a multi-millionaire in this group. And then I want you, no eyes, you know how you do the thing where you do the altar call where you don't look around, because you want people to know that you proclaim Christ, but not too much. Anyway, see, everyone eyes closed. Remember that at church, they do the altar call with your eyes closed? Don't look around, no one looking. And I said, put your hand up if you're a multi-millionaire. And in a church of 1,000 people, there's like 2 hands. Because nobody does well in business, ever. And the question is why? It's because most people are not successful and they want to give other people advice on what they have done to not be successful. Have you seen this? Now, I won't make you do it today, but rhetorically, how many of you have a multi-million-dollar company? And if those of you that do, think about all the crazy ass ideas that you get from people that are not you. And you start to go, oh, Charles is going to throw up over there. Okay. But like, people would stick around longer if you wouldn't take attendance or hold people accountable for being on time, whatever. Okay. So you just got to, when you leave here today, you got to know the piano man, God has given you a certain set of talents and skills, and you're going to be great at that. And somebody else, you got a certain talents and skills. So you got to figure out how can you grow that into a successful business. Okay. So if you leave here today, there's 4 experts you need in your life. And this isn't a shameless commercial for me. I don't care who you hire. You got to have an accountant that doesn't suck at accounting. Okay. Like in the way you play the piano, they got to do accounting. Stairs, you have a great accountant. What happens if you don't have a great accountant?
Yeah, well, if you don't have you won't know your numbers. And when you go to make decisions based on numbers, you won't make good decisions. And if you don't know your numbers at all, you'll be making decisions without using numbers. And it's all emotional at that point. And you're just, well, I'll try this and hope that it works. And again, it's just a whole lot of trial and a whole lot of error in there. But I totally agree. And even with your accountant, I would encourage you guys, when you look for an accountant, you want to tell the accountant what you want from them. Okay? Because they have a package that they are using with 3,000 other people too. And you want to go to them and tell them, I want, for me, when I went to my accountant, I want bookkeeping, I want payroll, I want taxes, and I want financial planning. And I want to meet with you once a quarter to make sure that I'm online. That's what I want. And I want to be able to make phone calls to you without having to pay money. Put a package together. Tell me how much it is.
Second person you want to have in your life.
That's what you tell them. Because if you don't tell them those things, then you'll think that they're doing your accounting when they are totally not looking at your numbers at all. And you think that they are going to be this helper for you when all they're doing is just plugging numbers into TurboTax for you.
Second thing.
Talk to me after this.
And again, these are things I'm not going to put in the book. Because I put in the book, then all of a sudden people are like, the whole conference was about this. You got to have a multimillionaire in your life that you talk to every week, or at least you have a connection to, because they actually have done it. You have to. If you don't, it's crazy, because the things they say are crazy. My man cave times with Dr. Zellner are so important to me. They're so important. It's so important to me. We do our man cave. We get together. It's not weird. Just he and I at his man cave. And I talk to him about things. And people say, well, is it worth the investment? You guys think through whether you hire me or someone in your life, then you don't have to hire me. Fine. But you really need to. So I talk to Z and I'll say, Z, and I've been doing this. I've worked with Z forever. So I'm 42, but I've been knowing him since I was 25. But it's like, hey, I'm getting sued, the first time. And he goes, well, awesome. Are you sick? Well, no, but it's awesome. It's truly amazing. I mean, it's remarkable, in fact. I'm like, remarkable? He's like, well, you're remarking. I'm remarking. It's remarkable. And it's going to happen because it's a prerequisite to success. Being sued is part of the game. Welcome to the team, buddy. You want a shot? I'm like, I don't want a shot. It's a Wednesday at 6 p.m. I got to pick my son up. So you good? You going to cry? Because if you cry, it's kind of weak. I'm just throwing it out. I'm like, do you have no empathy? Well, I have empathy, but it's over now. So you need to deal with it. It's called being sued. Welcome to the team. And I'm like, huh? He's like, do you cry when a baby falls down when they try to walk? No, babies have to fall down often while walking. And then eventually your baby learns to walk. Now, if you put your baby in a bubble, they would never learn to walk. So because you fell, what did you learn from this? And I'm going, have a better contract. He's like, yeah, because one of your DJs screwed up a wedding and now you're being sued. And the person, it's your fault for not having a contract that absolves you of liability for the wedding, because you can't ensure that every wedding is going to be awesome, but you can have a document that states, in the event that you jack up, this is how much you're liable for. And you can have the customer sign it and you just give them a refund. But because you didn't do that, you get to pay a dumb tax. And I'm like, a dumb tax? What is this tax? He's like, however much it costs, that's what you paid to go get that education. Good job. I'm like, oh, but there's nobody else in my life that would tell me that. Other people are like, it's okay. You'll be fine. He's like, oh, it won't be fine. And you won't be okay. And you will pay a lot of money. And as you are mad, make that contract. And at the end of that, if you recover, you probably will. And if you don't, you just start again. You'll need to have a better contract. And I'm like, oh, God. You know, or the first time I got, who's been really screwed where one of your employees tried to hire all of your employees away from you? Who's had that deal? So if you type in Tulsa men's haircuts, basically all of the search results are former employees of mine. And I don't care anymore because it doesn't bother me. But back in the day, it bothered me. I remember saying, see, I've got a top employee that left and they're opening up a business to directly compete with my DJ company. He goes, well, yeah, have you ever watched Star Wars? And I'm like, yes. It's like, well, you know, Obi-Wan, he taught Darth Vader, you know, Anakin Skywalker, and then Anakin thanked him by killing him. I think I overtrained him. You know, you ever seen that movie, Star Wars? He goes, no good deed goes unpunished, my man. And I'm going, what? You're not motivational at all. He's like, Matthew 5:10, God blesses those who are persecuted for righteousness. You will have people that will screw you just because you did a good thing. And I'm going, oh, and it's like once a month you need that. So you got to have a mentor in your life that will tell you how it is and not how you want it to be. Okay. But it's not like a shameless commercial to hire me. It's just have somebody in your life. Z doesn't care whether he offended me. And it was so awesome having someone that doesn't care. I remember one time I said, hey, I need to fix my marketing. He goes, well, yeah, because your website is absolutely terrible. I'm glad you brought it up, but can I give you feedback? I'm like, yeah. He's like, your website is terrible. I would never buy from that DJ company. I'm like, how long have you been thinking this? Well, since you put up the website and sent it to me, but you never asked for my feedback. But now that you're asking, it is awful. So you just need somebody in your, do you not? You got to have some feedback from somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. Okay. Third, you got to have, these are things, you got to have an attorney that you can trust before you need to trust them. Stairs. Yes. Why do you want to have an attorney that you can trust before you need to trust them?
Because when you need to trust them, you need to trust them. When you get into that spot where you need an attorney, it's too late to build a relationship with an attorney. It's kind of like getting into a game. Again, going back to my coaching days, it's a little too late when you're in the midst of a game and you're losing badly to change the game plan, to figure out, okay, you know, we really need to be doing this. It's too late at this time. We needed to do that before the game. So it's building these relationships, as Clay's talking about, having these relationships in your life that you are working on a consistent basis, because as a business owner, at some point, you will need them, and you will need them now.
Fourth thing, final thing. I'm not gonna put it in a book because, again, if I put it in a book, somebody would take that picture of it, put it on Instagram or Facebook, and say the whole book was just a shameless pitch for these, insurance. Go heavy on the insurance, okay, and short on the office swag. You know the office mug that says the name of your company? A lot of startups have mugs and hats and sweatshirts and hoodies and, that talk about their brand. A lot of people with no employees have a business card that identifies themselves as a CEO. Have you seen this phenomenon? I'm the CEO of worldwide marketing. You have no employees and you just started. That's true. Okay. So you want to but skimp on the swag and go heavy on the insurance. And who here sells insurance? Does anyone here sell insurance? You do? Sir, do you like her? How long have you guys been married? What kind of insurance do you sell? Can you come up here real quick? Is that cool? Can I pick on your wife? Can you come up here too, sir? Can I bring both of you guys up here? You guys went on the helicopter ride yesterday, right? Did you get sick or was it okay? Are you all right? You liked it? Okay. So I'm going to pass the mic. I don't know these guys and I'm not pitching for them. I don't know. Okay. And what is your name?
Wendy.
Wendy, and who's this guy?
Jesse.
Jesse. Okay. So tell me the kind of insurance that you sell.
I sell life insurance.
Which you only would need if you're dead, correct?
Not the kind that I sell.
Well, tell me what you sell.
I sell indexed universal life, variable life.
So who here would need that?
Everybody here would need that because it's life insurance that you can use while you're living.
Keep going. Tell me more. I need to know more.
It has living benefits, so you can pull from it if you get cancer or something like that. You could pull from your face amount, your death benefit, and use it while you're living so you can stay alive. And
my whole thing is I want my clients to have a bad day and not a bad life. That's my whole pitch. Like have a bad day, not a bad life. So we do these Reawaken America Tour events. I spend a lot on insurance, and it's because I know something bad is going to happen, and it's just going to. And when it does, I want to have a bad day and not a bad life. So certain things I'm dealing with right now don't really bother me because I think about insurance before doing things. If that makes any sense. So even though I might seem like, kind of a, I don't know, libertarian Daniel Boone of business, but I think about that because you want to have a bad day and not a bad life. So let's review the 4. I'll go back to here. So 1, you want to have an accountant you can trust. And this isn't a shameless go hire hood CPAs. I would recommend, I know Damien, he's a good guy. I recommend you schedule a consultation with 2 CPAs and talk to them both and figure out who you like. That's what I would do. Call for references, but do 2. Next, when you want to have an attorney, Stairs, why would you want to talk to a couple attorneys, not just one? Why not just the guy you know?
Oh, well, again, just like with anything, you want to make sure that the attorney is able to do what you want them to do, make sure that you're a good fit, and compare and who knows, this one attorney, their prices may be a whole lot higher and you can get the same thing from somebody else.
Now, back to the guru thing, I'm just going to tell you, I've met a lot of the gurus. I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want to be like I'm a slanderous person. But a lot of them, I'll talk to them backstage, or I've met them at events, and I'll say, they'll go, do you actually work with 160 clients? And I go, well, yeah. And they go, how do you make any money? And I go, well, it's a 20% profit. So $340 a month profit times 160 clients. I have no debt. It's a net profit of $54,400 a month. And I get a small percentage of growth most of the time. So you add it up and it's good. That's what I do. And they go, oh, I go, well, how do you make money? And they go, well, I certify people to be a coach underneath my coaching program, and I sell that. But I've never actually helped to grow companies. I just teach certification programs. Have you seen these things? Have you been to these kind of conferences before? And they sell certifications, but they don't actually grow companies. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or one guy, he's one of the top leadership authors in the world. And I said, can I ask you, why do you write leadership books? He's like, well, I found it tough to manage in the church environment, so I shifted into leadership books. Wait a minute. You struggled to manage people at the church, so you now write leadership books on it? He's like, yeah. One of the top authors in America right now on leadership. Before his passing, I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, all that stuff I wrote about doesn't really work. But people want it to work, so they'll buy it. So I'm a best-selling author, but I don't actually execute. I'm like the Darth Vader of business. So whether you hire me or you don't, you go find someone else, please find someone that's actually has done it. You see fruit. They've done it. It's a real thing. And in Dr. Z's case, he was my wife's boss who used to say horrible things to me like, Clark, why are you wearing that Wu-Tang Clan shirt? And I'm like, because I'm picking up my wife. And he said, well, stop dressing like a jackass. I'm like, all right. Clark, turn down the subwoofer. What the hell? I'm like, I'm picking up my wife. Yeah, you're ruining the atmosphere for my customers. Get out of here with that stuff. And he would do that to me. And I'm like, I hate that guy. But he said, my wife would say, he's so rich. And I'm like, oh, I hate him, but I love him. I need him. And we had this relationship that was kind of that way. And we have this relationship where even to this day, he'll say, Reawaken Tour, how many events do you think it'll take until you get sued? And I'm going, I got one down, probably 2 or 3. So, oh, you'll get sued. Oh, you will, buddy. You know. But again, it helps to have, doesn't it? Who has that relationship in your life? Or maybe you're a mom and you have a relationship with another mom who's a good mom. Is that helpful? Or if you're trying to be a good dad, you have a good dad. Or if you're trying to get in shape, you have a good personal trainer. Why would you not want to go to a personal trainer that doesn't actually work out ever? No, I'm being serious. Okay, so back to insurance. On the insurance thing, you guys, what's the name of your company?
I'm a broker, so I don't actually have them.
How do people get a hold of you?
I cold call them.
How do people get a hold of you? If they're watching online, they want to get a hold of you.
I'll give them my cell phone number.
Okay, can you give it out real quick?
210-542-4300.
Can you read it one more time?
210-542-4300.
And I don't know these guys other than they went in the helicopter ride. They seem like reasonable people. But I recommend that you have insurance because I see so many business owners that come to this conference. I've met them. They build a multi-million-dollar business and they get sued one time and it's over. So you really want to have. So I'm going to cut through the insurance I recommend you have. And again, this is not a shameless pitch for insurance because I don't put it in my books because if I do, then people are like, you're pitching insurance. I don't make a commission off insurance, okay? So you want to have enough auto insurance that you have a bad day and not a bad life. So in Oklahoma, the average injury accident is over $400,000 is the average judgment if you accidentally hurt someone. $400,000, okay? So auto, life, okay, life insurance, it's really tough, but we had a guy, I used to work with an insurance agency in Tulsa, and one day a woman came into the office, she was in tears, and she came in and she came to get her life policy because her husband just died. He was a roofer and he just suddenly died, And so he had just died maybe that day before the whole thing. And I'm talking to the agent and I said, what's going on? He's like, this woman, her husband just died. And I go, well, why is she here? He said, well, she wants the life policy. And I had to point out to her that her kids are all, 10 and under, and he only has the minimum. So she has to find a way to feed her family and take care of her kids on like a $50,000 life policy from his work. And he's got nothing. And she has to now plan the funeral and think about her next career and raising the kids. So I recommend however much money you make per year, you have enough life insurance so that in the event of a bad situation or a health problem, you can focus on getting your health better or your family and not thinking about the monetary situation. So the life insurance is big. Also, business insurance, like umbrella insurance, workman's comp. I had a guy who sawed his foot into the shape of a triangle in my office one time. That's awesome. Stairs. We were renovating the elephant in the room, and the contractor was trying to cut through concrete. And all of a sudden, I'm upstairs, and I hear, let's go. Just like yelling, and I'm going, something crazy's going on downstairs. So I run downstairs like a horror movie. There's blood everywhere. Dude cut his foot in the shape of a triangle. Now he had his own business, and guess what he didn't have? Insurance. True story. So these are, and it's like, it's far enough in the past I can kind of laugh. It's like 13 years ago. But at the time, until probably yesterday, it wasn't funny. But now it's kind of funny, but too soon still. But I mean, it's like, wow. Okay, so insurance, if people want to meet with you, how does that process work? How do they schedule a one-on-one consultation with you?
Yes, one-on-one consultation. Financial services, not one size fits all. So when looking for an agent, you want to find somebody generally who's independent and can broker for more than one company, because you don't want them to only have one option to sell you.
And you'll be here during the break if people want to ask you questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great job, Team Helicopter. Glad you guys are here. Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, so again, recap. The 4 things you want to have in your life. Definitely have an insurance agent you trust. Have that set up. Have a lawyer you can trust. Have an accountant. And have somebody in your life that you're giving permission to give you rude, objective, aka just direct and honest feedback, who's actually successful in every area that you want to be successful. So if you're here today and you're like, I don't want to be a business guy, great. But if Charles Kolaw, and I know you're not wanting to coach clients one-on-one for personal training, but if you were, I would go, I think he works out. I don't know what it is.
He may have figured something out.
Yeah, but you don't want to have it, right? So again, I see so many people that they're seeking mentorship, and the person teaching you hasn't ever done it. So that's just want to make sure you're following a proven path there. Okay. So let's answer a couple more questions. We'll take our break.
Okay. Let's see. Trading Google reviews with other people at this conference.
Well, the thing about Google reviews is, I'm going to walk you through the 2 kinds of Google reviews that I endorse. One is most businesses. How many of you build something for people where you have to go into their house? How many of you here you get to go to their house? So it's very important for me to know that you're a person of high integrity before you step into my home. How many of you agree with this idea? So I would recommend that you would gather references like on a resume, and I'd also gather them on Google. People that you've done work with, people that you've worked with for 10 years, people you know well through business, suppliers you've worked with. I would make it an intentional thing where you always ask those people for reviews. Okay. Second thing is every customer you work with, I would also ask them for reviews. That's where I would live. Now, if you want to go get reviews in different ways, I'm not going to just tell you how to. I just was saying it's very important that you gather objective Google reviews from real customers. That's a big thing because over time, and I'll give you a story here that's maybe too new, but my wonderful wife and I, we hired a vendor recently for something, and they were the worst. But their Google reviews said they were the best. And on their reviews, you could see the polarity of this idea happening upon further review, where it's like, they're the worst ever. These people suck. They're late to everything. I hate these people. They ruined my life. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But yet they always had like 95 stars only with no comments. And then it's like every review with words was like, we hate you. And how many of you, when you read reviews, don't you go to the best and the worst? How many of you do that? You get the best, the worst, the most. How many of you do that? The best, the worst, the most recent. You kind of look around. So you can tell if they're fake. So I would just encourage you to get objective reviews from actual customers and clients if you can. Next one.
Very good. How can you deal with bad Google reviews?
I don't.
Google reviews that are fake.
I don't. and I would encourage you not to as well, and I'll tell you why, is how many of you really like R&B music? You like R&B? Anybody like R&B? Who likes country music? Okay. And I watch people, not in my office, thankfully, but other places. People will argue about opinions, and it gets really heated. So about 3 years ago, a young guy in my office is talking about how LeBron James is the best. And I just don't care, but whatever. And then the other guy's like, no, Jordan's the best. And they're like, have you seen these things happen where people argue about opinions? Like Ron DeSantis, no, Trump. Ron DeSantis, Trump. Go shove a Ron DeSantis in your Trump. Are you fighting over this? Neither one is currently actually on the verge of being elected to anything yet. We got some time here. Let's let it play out. Calm down. Ron DeSantis, Trump. Have you seen this? Michigan, no, Minnesota. Michigan football rules. Ohio State rules. You suck. There's a lot of that. So I try not to focus on things like that are not productive. And in my life, I call them green arrows and red arrows. So a green is like something that's like life-giving and grows, and a red is like takes away from. So anytime it's like interacting with an upset customer and trying to like go back and I will call them. So the other day, true story, I called somebody and I said, hey, how are you? He said, great. I said, my understanding is you had a horrible haircut experience. He goes, absolutely. And I said, and the team told me you did. And I just wanted to call you and tell you I'm sorry. And tell you we did the best we could, and I'm getting you your next haircut free, and so we gave you a refund, right? Your next haircut's free. And the reason why I'm calling you is I guess that it got like nuclear, and I just want to know, is there something that I need to know just so I can learn from it? And the guy's like, well, you're a jerk. And I tell you, if I ran the business, I wouldn't suck because you're a boop, and I boop, and I ran boop, and I can tell this like, we probably just got divorced. You probably just happened, probably right there. You probably just got in a car accident. There's probably something going on. And he's like, I left you a big review so you understand. You get off your high horse. And okay. So I listened to him. I put on speakerphone as I walked to him. It takes me about 4 minutes. I walk through the woods, hang left, and I'm there. So I'm walking. And then I go, hey, you know what? I appreciate your feedback. It's great. And I don't care. And he probably still has the review up there, and it doesn't bother me. I did call him because it was so crazy, but I'm just not. And what happens there is if you do respond to it and you do notify Google, hey, this review wasn't real, what happens?
Well, main thing is it just keeps it in your life. It keeps this negative thing, the red arrow, it keeps it in your life, and you're thinking about it, and you're not able to move on to other things. So we encourage you, just don't get emotional about it. For me, main thing I do, if I ever see a negative review, meaning I'm not really looking at them, but if I do see a negative thing, it's just, hey, sorry about your experience. Here's my phone number. Call me. Let me know how I can make it up.
And I'm trying to make this very helpful.
Never call me.
And I'm trying to make this helpful for anybody here because if you're in business, it's a contact sport. Okay. So when we started the Reawaken America Tour, the first event we did in Tulsa, the whole reason I did it is because, again, there was lockdowns. I told Aaron, if that happens, I'm going to sue the mayor and I'm going to turn my building into a church. That will happen. But before that happens, I'm going to meet with the governor, the mayor, everybody to give them the benefit of the doubt, to educate them. But if they do it, I'm going to shut it down. It's going to happen. So they did the lockdowns, sued the mayor, turned my building into a church. And then I get a message from a guy I've known since I was like 2. How many of you have known somebody for so long you don't even know when you met them? It's like 2, 3-year-old. We maybe went to the same church. We were connected, went to college together. I know the guy. And, it's the kind of guy who you've known him for 20 years. 30, at this point, I've known him for 35 years. And he sends me a text message saying, quit acting a fool. You're embarrassing us. And I go, okay. So I call him. What's up? Because I've known him for 30-something years. What's up? He's like, I just want you to know you need to respect the virus. And I said, okay. He's coming at me hot, a lot of emotion there. So when people bring a lot of emotion, I don't. It's a pro tip, by the way. People bring a lot of emotion, don't. Okay? Flow like water. Water, if they're the rock, be the water. If they're the water, be the rock. Okay? So you just flow. So what's your concern? Well, you're putting people's lives at risk. I go, okay. Anything else? Well, you're being just embarrassment. Okay, just a lot of that. Okay, anything else? Okay. Are you aware of the models that said that 2.2 million people would die from COVID are false? Are you aware of these things? Well, where are you getting that information? From the person who made the models, Neil Ferguson has said they're false, and Deborah Burke said they're false by 25 times. I'll send you the video. Well, yeah, but you're just going to respect the virus. Okay, I love that you've watched the mainstream media and memorized what they said, and you're saying that. But you know where the PCR tests are falsely calibrated to inflate cases? What? PCR, the guy invented it, Kerry Mullis, has said the PCR tests are false. Are you aware? Well, how come no one else is saying that? Same reason that everybody I know and I went to college with is not successful except for me. It's always that way. It has been, always been, you know. Well, you're a jerk. Like, well, you continue to work for the IRS, which is what the job you've chosen, and where you have chosen that job. And I know you work at the IRS because you have that big government idea, and this is going to go work great for you. So you want me to shut my business down and collect the check. Is that the plan? Yeah. And he's like, well, we can't. I said, well, just be clear. You're saying all these things. I'm only calling you because I've known you for 37 years. But I think we're done speaking forever. Can we be done? Because we just wrap it up, and I go replace you with a new friend. He's like, yeah. So I did. I replaced him with a new friend. And the time I used to spend with him, I now spend with Eric Trump. And I would rather spend my time with Eric than him because Eric is a great guy and that guy is a weasel. You know? So you have to get used to that, though, as a business owner, because if I try to cling on to something that can't be and won't be and isn't fixable, and again, I called the guy. The conversation went almost exactly like that. But he had called everybody I know and had sent things on social media, wrote things, emailed things, sent in complaints, devoted his life, because the IRS does nothing, by the way. So he's devoted his entire workday to attacking me and people like me. You just got to move on. And so if you're self-employed and you don't do well with moving on, that's going to be a hard gig for you. And if you are self-employed and you have a hard time moving on, you need to get good at moving on. So whatever that needs to be, you need to get to a place in your mind where you move on. And you just gotta keep moving. You gotta keep moving. Okay. Stairs, next one.
Let's see. Next one. Best tech tool for managing access to learning materials and training modules.
Well, I just go to Thrive Time Show. Let me go to eitrlounge.com/staff, and I put everything there. But as far as learning modules, I don't know of employees on the planet Earth that actually watch learning modules. So I used to work with a big insurance company back in the day. I won't mention the name, but you know who I'm talking about. I know who I'm talking about. And there's training modules to become an agent, to stay educated. You're supposed to watch training modules. And the top agent in the state, we have our, because I'm a speaker, outside speaker, brought in. I'm supposed to speak at this conference for these insurance people. And they bring up the top guy, and people are asking questions like, how do you stay educated on your modules? How do you stay up to date on insurance? How do you know what I mean? There's ongoing education. He goes, I hire my assistant to watch it. And if you fail the test, then you can just take it again. So she just skips through and chooses A. And if she gets it wrong, skips through, chooses B, skips through, chooses C. And that's how we do it. And all the corporate people are like, no, don't say this. He's like, also, I think reading a lot about our industry will decrease your sales total. So I never know it. I just sell it. And people are like, oh no. And so modules, I don't know. So in the hair business, I mean, I don't know that our employees would ever watch modules, but I see companies that invest millions of dollars to make training modules, but I just don't know people that watch training modules. How many of you, when the lockdowns happened, remember how they tried to make school online? Who remembers this? Who had to live through that cluster? And what kind of stuff, did they find that kids were doing with the online only education? What were they doing? Your kid was playing video games? And I don't want to make up statistics for you, but I do want to give you facts. Facts. A very good friend of mine, and Stairs and I kind of know this situation, but he told me, he says, Clay, I built this massive online education platform, and you could build it too. Well, he didn't tell me that he made his money selling memberships to his online education primarily to school districts, because he sold it and he had a non-disclosure. So he waited a few years, and I sit down with him at lunch, and I go, how did you get people to actually watch the videos? He goes, oh, we never did that. No one ever watched. We just sold memberships to the state. And I'm like, oh, that would have been helpful to know. So don't spend a whole lot of time on things people won't use, but do spend time on things people will use, like checklists, like hands-on training, that kind of thing. Next, Stairs.
Very good. Let's see. What should a business card look like?
It needs to be memorable or don't make it.
Yes.
So memorable or don't make it. So I recommend it's made out of metal if you're going to be a financial advisor, something of high quality, something people would want to keep. You just don't want to have a business card that you pass out and then people don't value it because you don't value it enough to make it high quality. So whatever you pass out needs to be high quality.
Yeah, when I first started my company, the Leadership Initiative, it was all about growth, helping companies grow. So Clay helped me with my business card. It's in the shape of a leaf, and it's green. And even today, as I pass it out to people, 100% of the time, they will stop, look at it, and comment on the card. And that's what you want. It's part of your brand. You want to be set apart. It's the same size as a rectangle card, but it's in the shape of a leaf. So you don't, for me, I always get frustrated with people that give me a card that's a weird shape, that's bigger than all the other cards, because then when you try to put them all together, you've got this one weird one that's too big, and that one goes in the trash. So it fits with all the other ones, but it's in the shape of a leaf. And I had an eye doctor client, and we had his business card in the shape of a pair of glasses. And you just wanted that little extra, oh, this is cool. This is neat. I think I'll hang on.
If you're going to pass it out, you want to make it memorable. And if not, don't have it, you know? So Currington, Steve, he doesn't use business cards. What he does is he does the thing of like, here's my number. He'll say, let me text it to you. But he doesn't do business cards. But I know people in that industry that do business cards. You just want to make sure if you have them that they're memorable. Okay, next question.
Yeah. Very good. Is Dun & Bradstreet just a scam? If not, they have a great cry, buy, or die marketing strategy.
I don't want to comment on what Dun & Bradstreet has done or doesn't do, because I don't have a whole lot of data. I know there's a lot of people that I have worked with who have made claims, this or that, but I can't say that anybody I've ever worked with has used Dun & Bradstreet as a viable tool to grow their business. I've never seen that happen, but maybe somebody has, but I have yet to see it. Okay, next.
Clay, is this a good idea? Buy property, cash down, and then take cash out in 6 months.
Who's wanting to know about that? Who wants to know that? Okay, yeah. Okay, so give me this scenario. I know a lot of people that have done that. Now, let me just explain to you my strategy or my philosophy on buying properties, and then that way you can just kind of hear my mindset. I want to be able to not have any tenants and not care. Because I don't want to be leveraged to the point that if I lost a tenant, that I would care. So for any of the clients I've ever worked with that do commercial properties, I recommend that they break the property up into rentable units that are easy to fill. And I'm just going to fire off examples of that. But if it's like an A-class piece of real estate, you know, A-class, those are fairly easy to fill up. And if you have, you know, tenants where you go, okay, it's a white box, and they can fill it up with a hair salon, or they can fill it up with a yoga studio, or they can fill it up with a fitness class. They can fill it up with a math business that teaches math or tutoring, or they can fill it up with I like that kind of thing, but I don't like stuff where it's like really hard to rent to other people if those tenants bomb. Does that make sense? Because I see a lot of people, and I've met a lot of people at these conferences that own a lot of properties and have a lot of equity, but have no actual money. And what's going to happen is the banks right now, it's going to happen. I'm not prophetic. I'm just telling you what is for sure going to happen, is banks are going to cut down on who has access to their own equity soon. Because the banks are leveraged. We're all following this. We're all following the banks being leveraged. We all know about this. Okay. So banks are going to start to cut back on the equity that you have access to. So they're going to cut back on your ability to have access to your equity. And then you're going to be in a spot where if you need all those tenants and a tenant bails, in your bad spot. So whatever position you buy from, I'll just make sure that you're in a spot where you're not so leveraged that if somebody bails, you're in a bad spot. Is that helpful? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on the, any other questions on the board? Any questions on the board?
Yeah, looks like we've got one more question.
Okay, then we'll break until 10:15.
In healthcare, just realized my skilled positions, docs with good hearts, are killing my sales. Solutions.
Okay. What specific business is this, or industry, or what is it? Like I'll speak to it generally and maybe, yes, sir. Okay. And so you're saying that some of the docs are killing the sales. So they're not selling anything at all, and they're actually maybe decreasing, they're encouraging buyers to not buy, or what are they doing? Yep. Yep. Got it. Yeah.
And we run into a lot of the variables you're talking about before, as far as guidance from Medicare, stuff like that, national stuff. So they'll literally talk a patient out of.
Yeah. And this is how many doctors do you have?
6.
Okay, I'm going to give you some weird advice. Go with it. Just write it down. Deal with it tonight. Pray about it. Think it's going to sound weird. Somebody else probably needs this advice too. It's going to be really specific to you, but it applies to everybody, okay? Pretend that you have a police officer uniform on and a badge, and you have the kind of badass authority that allows you to get in the middle of Highway 75 out here and park your car and tell people, no, you can't drive right now. No. Why? Because I'm shutting it down, baby. And have you met these people? Have you met police officers that operate like this? Have you met some of these people and they don't have a badge, but they're still in that flow? So I got a guy I know pretty well. Is a friend of mine's, a woman who used to work for me. It's her husband. And I knew her before she married him. And we kind of joke, but he is the guy from Dodgeball. You know the character from Dodgeball that has a painting of himself taking the bull by the horns? Who's seen this? Who's not seen this? It's worth it, Sean. Find it. So in Dodgeball, there's a character has such an ego that he's like, yeah, you see that painting of me taking the bull by the horns? That's actually me, and I did that. You know, and it's just this ridiculous ego. That's probably the extreme. And over here is probably you, where you're trying to treat people the way you want to be treated, and you're the nice guy, and people run over you. So I get pulled over because I don't do stoplights. That's true. I don't. And my wife's working with me. No, my wife's working with me on it. But I haven't got tickets in a long time either. I haven't got tickets in a long time. But these are just things I do. So whenever there's a stoplight, how many of you kind of might cut through the shopping center sometimes? I do it every time. So I see a stoplight. I'm like, this isn't going to happen. I think, Aubrey, were you with me when I got pulled over? He's probably like 5-6 years ago. So I get pulled over, you know, because I'm like, I took the Hummer and I drove it through the ditch to get to the parking lot, and I made my move. And he comes walking, and I know the guy, okay? But he's a nice guy, this guy. He's not normally like a jerk, but he has a certain posture to the way he polices. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, Zygmunt? And he's like, dude, come on. Just, what the hell? I'm going to go look at your license, your insurance. Stop. Just, what was that move? What was that? It's a pretty good move. And he's like, don't do that move. You know? But he is an officer, has to, you know what I mean? He has to kind of puff up a little bit, have a little posture, and the whole walk up to the vehicle. Sir, do you know why I pulled you over? Roll down the window. And once he makes eye contact, he's like, dude, come on. You know? And I'm saying, but he commands that authority. That's how he is when he puts on the uniform. But when he doesn't have the uniform on, he's a really cool guy. Does that make sense? But so you have to go into your business today, like you got the police uniform on with the badge, and you have to go, I have been given the authority on behalf of Team Non-Jackass, and you will follow this checklist. And then they're going to go, really? You know, oh, yeah, really? And then you leave and go, oh, crap. You know, and it's going to happen a little bit. And you're going to go, listen, we're doing a huddle every morning, and I need you to follow the script verbatim. I have a checklist for you, and I need you to follow it exactly. And they're going to, and then you keep doing it, and then eventually it's physics, and whatever power exerts a greater energy will win. And it's going to require you to go into that situation. And I won't give too much details, but I did get a chance to meet with President Trump for an extended meeting. And I can just tell you, he's hilarious. And he's also like exactly how you would think he would be when he's not on stage. It's the same guy. And it's hilarious because I was showing him some things, and he wanted me to show some things. And it's not like, hey, if you could you show me some things? It's like, Clay, show me that. Okay. And it's like, show me that. Got it. Okay. Flynn, what's that? Clay, show me that. Can you prove that? Clay, can you prove that? Flynn, can he prove that? Clay, show me. Great. Next. Sorry, got to take a call. Takes a call. Good. Clay, back to you. Boom. And I'm just like, this guy's like running 10 companies, trying to save America, dealing with other things, asking me hard facts. And the whole time I'm like, oh, Billy. Because he has this authority about his aura. There's this energy to it. And then we wrap up and I'm going, okay. It was pretty intense, And he's like, do you want a commemorative plate? My wife says, we do want a commemorative plate. And he's like, you guys want a photo? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he was really great and kind, but it's like, you could tell he was definitely going to make sure that I proved everything I said to him. There's no puffery. I can't get in there and talk in circles. I can't say, I think. It's like, can you prove that, Flynn? Can he prove that? Who's this guy? How'd you meet that guy? No, I got to take this call. It's just it was great. But it was like, he had an agenda of what he wanted to extrapolate out of my head. And then he goes, do you like music during my speeches? Do you like that? Do you like this a distraction, or do you think it's an additive? And I'm like, well, I think it's an additive. I like it actually personally. He goes, yeah. And I go, Eric told me you're kind of the DJ of the Mar-a-Lago, like you're DJ T. He goes, oh yeah. But it's like he commanded authority, but he wasn't mean. Does that make sense? Like super nice. And he could, I just got interrogated by who could be the leader of the free world for a while. And he could tell that it was intense. And I was like, and then he's like, do you want a commemorative plate? I'm like, I do want to, but all I'm saying is you have to be that way. Now, Stairs, you work with a lot of people that have to learn that. Oh, yeah. And where do they get stuck? And then we'll take a break. Like, where do you see people that are good people and they're trying to get the team to follow the system? And how have you helped people just get out of that doom loop where the employees kind of walk all over them?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about this, Clay, but usually as we are trying to work with either low-level employees or just employees that are hard to work with, we don't have a set step-by-step system of how to do that, an established path that we're going to go down that everybody knows. We're trying to figure it out in the moment, and it's very mentally draining. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? And it's emotionally draining because we don't know how to do it. So we're trying to do it, and we're kind of gauging them to see how they are responding. And if they've got a negative response, then we kind of back up a little bit and doing that type of thing. And so what we primarily do to help people with that is to have a system in place that's your go-to. If this happens, here's what we're going to do.
And we come back at 10:30.
We'll talk about this.
We'll come back. We'll come back at 10:20. Stairs is going to get into how to hire people and how to hold people accountable and that whole thing. So we'll kind of go more into that. But just picture yourself as a nice guy who's a police officer, who's got a badge. And when you're on duty, you're a different guy than when you're off duty, if that makes any sense. Okay. We'll come back here at 10:20 for Clay Stairs to teach you how to hire and inspire, train and retain great people.
There we go.
The number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year. We are Jared and Jennifer Johnson. We own Platinum Pest and Lawn and are located in Owasso, Oklahoma. And we have been working with Thrive for business coaching for almost a year now.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to share some wins with you guys that we've had by working with Thrive. First of all, we're on the top page of Google now. Okay. I just want to let you know what type of accomplishment this is. Our competition, Orkin, Terminex, they're both $1.3 billion companies. They both have 2,000 to 3,000 pages of content attached to their website. So to basically go from virtually non-existent on Google to up on the top page is really saying something. But that's come by being diligent to the systems that Thrive has, by being consistent and diligent on doing podcasts and staying on top of those podcasts to really help with getting up on with their listing and ranking there with Google.
And also we've been trying to get Google reviews, asking our customers for reviews. And now we're the highest rated and most reviewed pest and lawn company in the Tulsa area. And that's really helped with our conversion rate. And the number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year.
Wait, say that again. How much are we up?
411%.
Okay, so 411% we're up with our new customers. Amazing.
Right. So not only do we have more customers calling in, we're able to close those deals at a much higher rate than we were before. Right now, our closing rate is about 85%, and that's largely due to, first of all, like our Google reviews that we've gotten people really see that our customers are happy, but also we have a script that we follow. And so when customers call in, they get all the information that they need. That script has been refined time and time again. It wasn't a one and done deal. It was a system that we followed with Thrive in the refining process, and that has obviously the 411% shows that system works.
Yeah, so here's a big one for you. So last week alone, our booking percentage was 91%. We actually booked more deals, more new customers last year than we did the first 5 months, or I'm sorry, we booked more deals last week than we did the first 5 months of last year from before we worked with Thrive. So again, we booked more deals last week than the first 5 months of last year. And it's incredible. But the reason why we have that success is by implementing the systems that Thrive has taught us and helped us out with. So.
Some of those systems that we've implemented are group interviews. That way we've really been able to come up with a really great team. We've created and implemented checklists. That way everything gets done and it gets done right. It creates accountability. We're able to make sure that everything gets done properly, both out in the field and also in our office. And also doing the podcast, like Jared had mentioned, that has really, really contributed to our success. But that, like I said, the diligence and consistency in doing those and that system has really, really been a big blessing in our lives. And also, it's really shown that we've gotten the success from following those systems.
Yeah. So before working with Thrive, we were basically stuck. Really no new growth with our business. And we were in a rut and we didn't know.
The last 3 years, our customer base had pretty much stayed the same. We weren't shrinking, but we weren't really growing either.
Yeah, and so we didn't really know where to go, what to do, how to get out of this rut that we're in. But Thrive helped us with that. They implemented those systems. They taught us those systems. They taught us the knowledge that we needed in order to succeed. Now it's been a grind. Absolutely, it's been a grind this last year. But we're getting those fruits from that hard work and the diligent effort that we're able to put into it. So again, we were in a rut. Thrive helped us get out of that rut. And if you're thinking about working with Thrive, quit thinking about it and just do it. Do the action, and you'll get the results. It will take hard work and discipline, but that's what it's going to take in order to really succeed. So we just want to give a big shout out to Thrive, a big thank you out there to Thrive. We wouldn't be where we're at now without their help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Moore. I'm a pediatric dentist. Through our new digital marketing plan, we have seen a marked increase in the number of new patients that we're seeing every month, year over year. 1 month, for example, we went from 110 new patients the previous year to over 180 new patients in the same month. And overall, our average is running about 40 to 42% increase month over month, year over year. The group of people required to implement our new digital marketing plan is immense, starting with a business coach, videographers, photographers, web designers. Back when I graduated dental school in 1985, nobody advertised. The only marketing that was ethically allowed in everybody's eyes was mouth-to-mouth marketing. By choosing to use the services, you're choosing to use a proven turnkey marketing and coaching system that will grow your practice and get you the results that you're looking for. I went to the University of Oklahoma College of Dentistry, graduated in 1983, and then I did my pediatric dental residency at Baylor College of Dentistry from 1983 to 1985.
Hello, my name is Charles Colaw with Colaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy is just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Crockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours where he does these tours all across the country where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. So I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy. Elon Musk, kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant, and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like him most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down, because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company, or navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, because our clubs were all closed for.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us. This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right? So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood. This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
The Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the highest and most reviewed business workshops on the planet.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot-coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy with Tip Top Canine, and I'm the founder.
I'm Rachel Wimpy, and I am a co-founder.
So we've been running Tip Top for about the last 14 years, franchising for the last 3-4 years. So someone that'd be a good fit for Tip Top loves dogs, they're high energy, they want to be able to own their own job, but they don't want to worry about, that high failure rate. They want to do that like bowling with bumper lanes.
So you give us a call, reach out to us, we'll call you, and then we'll send you an FDD, look over that, read it, fall asleep to it, it's very boring, and then we'll book a discovery day, and you come and you spend a day or two with us to make sure that you actually like it, make sure training dogs is something that you want to do.
So an FDD is a franchise disclosure document. It's a federally regulated document that goes into all the nitty-gritty details of what the franchise agreement entails.
So who would be a good fit to buy a Tip Top Canine would be somebody who loves dogs, who wants to work with dogs all day as their profession. You'll make a lot of money, you'll have a lot of fun, it's very rewarding. And who would not be a good fit is a cat person.
So the upfront cost for Tip Top is $43,000. And a lot of people say they're generating doctor money, but on our disclosure, the numbers are anywhere from over $1 million a year in dog training, what our Oklahoma City location did last year, to $25-35 grand a month.
To train and get trained by us for Tip Top Canine, to run your own Tip Top Canine, you would be with us for 6 weeks here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So we've been married for 7 years.
8 years.
8 years. So if you're watching this video, you're like, hey, maybe I want to be a dog trainer. Hey, that one sounds super amazing. Go to our website, tiptopcanine.com, click on the yellow franchising tab, fill out the form, and Rachel and I will give you a call. Our Oklahoma City location last year, they did over $1 million. He's been running that shop for 3 years. Before, he was a youth pastor with 0 sales experience, 0 dog training experience before he ever met with us.
So just call us, come spend a day with us, spend a couple days with us, make sure you like training dogs, and own your own business.
Well, the biggest reason to buy a Tip Top Canine is so you own your own job and you own your own future, and you don't hate your life. You get an enjoyable job that brings a lot of income, but is really rewarding.
My name is Seth Flint, and I had originally heard about Tip Top Canine through my old pastors who I worked for. They trained their Great Pyrenees with Ryan and Tip Top Canine. They did a phenomenal job and became really good friends with Ryan and Rachel. I was working at a local church, and it was a great experience. I ended up leaving there and working with Ryan and Tip Top Canine. The biggest thing that I really enjoy about being self-employed is that I can create my own schedule. I have the ability to spend more time with my family, my wife and my daughter. So my very favorite thing about training dogs with Tip Top Canine is that I get to work with the people. Obviously, I love working with dogs, but it's just so rewarding to be able to train a dog that had serious issues, whether it's behavioral or whatever, and seeing a transformation, taking that dog home and mom and dad are literally in tears because of how happy they are with the training. If somebody is interested, I'd say don't hesitate. Make sure you like dogs. Make sure that you enjoy working with people, because we're not just dog trainers. We are customer service people that help dogs, and so definitely don't hesitate. Just come in and ask questions. Ask all the questions you have.